Everybody. For this yin practice, you might want a lot of props, maybe a bolster, or you can grab a couch pillow, some blankets, some blocks. If you don't need them or you don't want to use them, that's fine too. Um, and just for those who have any issues with sciatica or disc issues, really don't want to do passive forward bends. So there'll be a couple of forward bends, and I'll just suggest or remind you that it would be better to stay upright or even do a supine version instead. Okay, so we're going to start with it's Baddha Konasana, but the names are different in Yin Yoga to differentiate between a more active shape and a more passive shape. So we're going to start with butterfly pose. And for all yin poses, the general rules of practice are that we're coming to find a moderate amount of sensation. We're not pushing or forcing. We're just seeing where the body naturally wants to go, and that's where we're staying. If the sensations build and become intolerable, we're going to back off. If we're not feeling anything at all, we're going to try to find a little bit more depth and sensation. But we're not reaching into a stretch at all. And usually the stretches, the poses are all done passively. However, if you're feeling discomfort in joints, then I would suggest finding a little bit of engagement around the muscles, in the muscles that surround the joints. So if you're in, say, a forward fold and you're feeling discomfort right in the knee joint, then I would either bend the knees or engage the quad muscles, etc. I'll talk about this a little bit again when we get into relevant postures, but just so you know. And we'll hold the poses for about 5 minutes. You can always come out earlier if it's not working for you. And then finally, we're going to work on being still, even though there might be some discomfort. Discomfort is when the change happens, when the growth happens. So obviously nothing pinchy or shooting. We want to avoid that and rewind to a place where we're feeling moderate sensation. But there will most likely be some sensations that might not be super cozy and comfortable. And we really want to stay with those if we can. And what the kind of movement, we can move and adjust to make the shape work for us, but we don't want to keep moving the whole time. We're practicing stillness, particularly when it comes to fidgeting. Like, don't scratch the itch, don't make the little tapping of the fingers and whatnot, or trying to be with what's arising. Okay, so that said, we're going to start with butterfly. So it'll be a seated potential forward fold. You could sit on a cushion if you like, or you can sit right on the floor. Generally, if the knees are higher than the hips, then sitting up on a cushion or blanket will be a good idea for you. So if you have disc issues or sciatica or any kind of SI joint strain, I would suggest staying upright or even leaning back, or you can lie all the way back, all the way onto your back. If you have any knee or hip challenges, then supporting the thighs would be a good idea. Okay, so we bring soles of feet together. The knees are wide. We can just start sitting up nice and tall, connecting to body, connecting to breath. And then if it's right for you, lengthening forward. Lengthening forward to a comfortable degree. And you can have your head hanging, or you can rest your head on a cushion, or if you're folded enough to easily reach your fists or your hands, you could do that instead. So once you settle into your shape, just be here. Breathing naturally. Breath is in the foreground of awareness, as are the sensations that are arising. We're just noticing what's arising with a kind and curious awareness. We'll hold this shape for about 1 more minute. And gradually rising up out of the forward fold. Stretch your legs out in front of you. Take your time here. It's really normal to feel fragile after these long holds. You could just kind of lean back onto your hands. If you feel like you need a little bit of movement, you could plant your feet and do a little easy windshield wiper side to side. You could even lie on your back for a moment in Shavasana. So between each shape, we'll just take about a half a minute to find a neutral shape that allows the body to kind of respond and integrate. Okay, and then whenever you feel ready, our next shape is saddle. This is reclined hero's pose. This is, for a lot of folks, the hardest pose, or one of the hardest poses, especially if you've been sitting a lot. I certainly have lately. So this could be a seated shape, or it could be a partial supine shape, or it could be an asymmetrical shape. So if it's too much to do both legs at once, you can do one leg at a time, and we'll switch about halfway through. So lots of ways to approach this. You could sit on your feet, or you could sit between your feet. And you might want to sit on a cushion or block or blanket. A lot of times the knees are what feel most uncomfortable. So you could place a blanket in your knee crease. You can also roll the fleshy part of your calves out to the side in order to create a little bit more room for the knees to flex. You can use a bolster or a pile of blankets or blocks to go either underneath your spine. This would be better if you have any kind of spinal or disc issues. And another way you can set up the bolster, if you don't have any issues with your discs, would be horizontal on the mat and just the shoulders coming down. You might end up needing more support for your head. If you wanted to do single leg version, I'll demonstrate that one just so that I can be timekeeper halfway through along with you. Okay, and then you lie back to any degree here, with or without the cushion, or remain seated. You could come down onto your forearms. If that's too much, you can use your bolster to come back on here. And if you've already been in for a bit, I'm just starting the timer now, so you can certainly come out sooner. If you're doing asymmetrical version, we'll do about 2.5 minutes per side. If you are doing the asymmetrical version, at this point, you can switch legs. Staying present for what's arising in the field of sensation. Carefully coming up and out, try to use your arms, your hands, your core. You can tuck your chin to come up. And then extending legs out in front, take your time. Then set your props aside. Remain seated, leaning back on your hands, windshield wiper the legs, lie down in Shavasana, or maybe even a down dog or from all fours. Simple stretch of one leg. So nothing very complicated here. Like shifting into neutral. Okay, and then our next shape is Sphinx pose. This is a prone back bend. So we lie on our belly. And we're on our forearms here with the elbows at least an inch in front of the shoulders. They could be further forward, that would be less intense, but we don't want the elbows behind the shoulders. Okay, so you could have your hands shoulder width apart, or you can join your hands in prayer, or you could even take hold of your elbows here. If it still feels like too much after you slide your elbows forward a bit, you could place a blanket underneath your pelvis. And then once you find your basic shape, you might be able to, it might feel good to just really drape, let the belly drape and relax a lot. Or that feels like a little too much, a little scary for your back, you can engage your buttocks and your inner legs for some or all of the time. So it's not this huge gripping action necessarily, but it's engaging the glutes primarily to help protect the back. We don't want to completely sink into the shoulders, but we also don't want to be pressing super strong down on the forearms. So you can press through the forearms a bit and then just soften between the shoulder blades. So I'm lifted, but not strongly. You could let the head drop. You could support the head, or you can just keep the head in line with the rest of the spine. You might like to direct the breath into the places where you feel the most sensation, sending energy into those areas. We'll be here for about 1 more minute. If you have anything underneath your hips, underneath your pelvis, you can remove it. And then just lowering down so elbows can come wide, hands can stack, forehead on hands. When you feel ready to move again, bring your hands underneath your shoulders and press back into child's pose. Hips toward the heels, knees can be wide or closer together. Maybe you stack your hands and rest your forehead on top, or you can have your arms alongside your body. This is just a couple minutes. Hold here. And now rising up gradually to a seat with legs stretched out in front of you. Coming into dragonfly, it's like Janu Shirshasana. So because we're doing seated, maybe forward fold again, you might like to sit on the edge of a blanket. We'll start with the right knee bending and the sole of the foot connecting to the inner thigh. And then if it's available and works for your body, you could take this right knee and hip a little bit further back. So what we'll do is fold the torso over the leg. We want to maintain space in the front body. So we want to try to avoid a big rounding, collapsing. So when you first fold forward, try to send your heart, your chest toward your foot, and then gradually release into the forward fold. If you're kyphotic, if you have a lot of rounding in your shoulders, it would be better to stay upright. Same for any kind of disc issues. You could even lean back onto your hands. If you have knee discomfort, you can firm your quad muscle, so squeeze your thigh. And if this bent knee, the right knee, isn't on the ground or it feels sensitive, you can cushion it. You can put a blanket underneath it. If you have sciatica, even though you're staying upright, you might put a cushion underneath or a blanket underneath your straight knee. Same with if the hamstring on this left leg felt really tight, either padding the knee or even planting this foot. And finally, you could prop the head or let the head hang. But if you have neck strain or if you know you've got a diminished curve or forward head posture, then I would definitely support the head. The mind drifts off, bring it back. About one more minute. Gently rising up. Extend your right leg out in front of you. And we'll go right to the other side. Left foot to the right inner thigh. If it works for you, you can try taking the knee and the hip a little bit further back. And then we fold over the straight leg. Remember to stay upright or even lean back onto the hands. If you have kyphosis or sciatica or any kind of disc issues, and you can pad either or both knees or even plant the right foot to make the shape work for you. If you have forward head posture or any kind of neck strain, then do yourself a favor and support your head. You can do that even if you don't have those issues. It might just feel nice. Maintaining some degree of space in the front of the torso. So if it seems like you're really collapsed in the chest, you can lift up a bit and elongate the heart forward and then fold in again. If you're feeling a lot of sensation in the straight knee, you can squeeze your thigh muscle to support it. We'll hold this shape for 1 more minute. Gently and gradually rising up, stretching your legs out in front of you. You can lean back onto your hands, windshield wiper the legs, or lie on your back, or even your belly for a moment, shifting into neutral. Okay, our next shape is either a seated, straight-legged forward fold or legs up the wall. So if you're choosing the seated version, again, you might want to elevate your pelvis. If you're kind of rolled back, we don't want to also try to fold forward. So we would lean back onto the hands, or if you have any disc issues, sciatica, if you have tight hamstrings, definitely want to sit on a cushion, or if your lower back is tight, you definitely want to sit on a cushion. You could even have your feet planted and work to sit upright here. If you're doing your seated forward fold, you can support your head, or particularly if you have sciatica, or you just want to do it a little different. This legs up the wall, Viparita Karani, is a fantastic way to keep the spine neutral. So if you've never come into this shape before, you want something, if your floor is hard, something underneath you, you'll sit with one hip facing the wall. You get as close as you can to the wall. And then as you bring your upper body down, keep scooting your sitting bones toward the wall and then swing the legs up the wall. You might have to shimmy and fidget to get closer to the wall. But if this is a big hamstring stretch, you want to move further away from the wall so it's not quite so intense. Settling into stillness. Staying in the present moment. We'll be here for about 1 more minute. From seated, you can gradually rise up and lean back onto your hands, maybe windshield wiper the legs. From legs up the wall, you can start by bending your knees, and then with no sense of hurry, rolling off to your side. Head is heavy, head rises last as you press yourself up. Which brings us to our final shape of Shavasana, lying on your back. If you have lower back discomfort, you can put a bolster under your thighs or a blanket under your knees. If the room is a little cool, maybe a blanket on top of you, perhaps a thin support underneath your head. Place your feet wider than your hips. Arms can be alongside your body with the palms facing up, or you can place your hands on your belly. Breath is natural, cultivating presence through awareness. Just resting in awareness. And coming back into the river of breath. Bringing your awareness back into your body. Finding some small movements as you begin to reawaken. And gradually, if you're ready to rise, taking your time, rising back up to a seat. Okay, we're going to come into Pranidhana Mudra. So we'll connect the index fingertips together and the pinky fingertips together, and then bring the remaining fingers kind of through to your thumbs. Yeah. So index fingers connect, pinkies connect, and then middle and ring finger come down to meet the thumbs, and then we flip it. Ooh, and bring the arms down to rest on your lap. Yeah, Pranidhana Mudra. This is another, I've been working with root chakra mudras. You might close your eyes here. This assists with releasing and support and grounding. And it might feel silly or stupid, or you might feel some kind of energy hookup here. Shoulders relaxed. You might recite with me, either out loud or internally, this affirmation. With deep awareness, I surrender what I no longer need. With deep awareness, I surrender what I no longer need. One more time. With deep awareness, I surrender what I no longer need. Maybe it continues to echo inside. And then from here, you can bring your hands palms together at heart center, bowing head to heart and hands, with gratitude for all of the blessings and abundance in our lives, with gratitude for all the lessons that we are handed, pleasant, unpleasant, all helping us to grow. May we be grateful for each and every single breath and this precious human existence. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Peace to all beings everywhere. Thank you. Thank you all for joining me.